All right, everybody, welcome into Abundance to Give podcast. So today, very excited to have on Chris Robinson, local San Diegan, born and raised, similar to myself in San Diego, but we come from, we'll be interested to see similar backgrounds, but real estate, right? It's kind of like the core foundation from it. But what I'm more curious about learning, and kind of the whole theme of the podcast and why Abundance to Give came about, was I wanted to interview super successful entrepreneurs, but not so much about, hey, Chris, tell me about how you became successful and how you became wealthy and you created all this stuff and tactics and strategies. I mean, that we'll get into that.
Yeah.
What I really want to learn about is 3 layers deep.
Yeah.
You know, the passions, the desires, the philanthropy, how you like to impact other people's lives in a positive way. Because I think we get to a certain point in our lives, if you've had success, and then you still need to feel kind of that, how do I get myself out of bed?
Yeah.
Right. What's the burn in the belly that moves me every day? And then how can I now use giving back, helping others, leaving a legacy to create impact and create abundance, hence abundance to give.
Yeah.
And that's how it came about. And it really started with my kids, because they love, I don't know if you know who Mr. Beast is. Do you know this guy, Mr. Beast?
No.
The number one followed guy on YouTube.
Okay.
It's like 300 million subscribers, right?
Yeah.
But he started his entire career with playing video games on YouTube, right? And he had a couple thousand subscribers. And then he changed his entire model. He started going into Best Buys, putting a circle of blue tape, like painter's tape, on the ground, covering it with a blanket, grabbing random people in the store, bringing them over, videotaping the entire thing.
Yeah.
Pulling it off and saying, hey, anything you can fit in the circle in the next 5 minutes, we're going to give you. Right? So people start losing their shit.
Yeah.
Mothers are crying. They're like, I wanted to get my kid this and I couldn't do it. I couldn't afford it. So the whole emotional side of it and giving made him go,
love that.
Right. And so he changed his entire model of, let's just give back to people, record it, share the experience, and then you see how that impacts people.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and as you age, you become wiser. You're exposed to so much that works, so much that doesn't. And how can you help others? Especially when you have that richness.
I would agree. So before we get into that, walk me through the first 10 years of your professional career. Where you started, why, and then what was the drive into real estate versus another career?
I was kind of a rebel in when I had jobs, I would lose the jobs. So I would basically get fired.
Because you're a horrible employee.
Yeah, I was just not good. I was a pizza delivery guy, and I would decide to throw parties instead. This is in Santa Barbara, in Isla Vista.
You went to UCSB, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know Jimmy Morrison?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe that's how we're connected too.
Yeah. I knew, I used to see him at Luce a lot.
Yeah.
Over on Marina. So I from a young age, I realized I didn't do very good with the sense of authority. And I think there was this element of pushing back or rebelliousness against, don't tell me what to do. Internal issues from childhood, whatever you want to call it, where that was this theme. And that, coupled with my dad always kind of like not chirping, but kind of whispering, it's really good to work for yourself and be an entrepreneur, because there's no ceiling on earnings and how much you can grow or make. And so those two things got me kind of entrepreneurial thinking through college, losing these jobs, and then also just really wanting to be a hustler and drive around the big, at the time it was like the late 90s, mid 90s, big Mercedes S-Class and like a white one.
Wait, like the sedan?
Yeah, the huge 4-door sedan.
They're like you turn it and then like the whole car like just.
Yeah, but that was a symbol of like success.
Gotcha.
And I really had this lust for
the status a bit.
For status.
Okay.
And that was probably, if you really want to go deep, that was a void for some other sense of insecurity or whatever. Again, this is all human nature, but I love looking deep in what really drives us.
So let's jump into that. Because just from a few minutes here, I'm gathering that like you have levels to you.
Oh yeah.
Like, are you into meditation? Are you into any hypnosis? Are you into ayahuascas, DMTs? Like, get me into that kind of, like, where does your depth come from?
I've flirted with some of the psychedelics, but more for me, it's meditation.
Okay.
And it's about a 20-minute exercise. I've been doing that since 2010. Not every day. There'll be seasons in my life where I will actually kind of forget about it. But lately, I've been back on board with daily meditation. I actually hosted one at my house for a neighborhood friend this morning. And for me, it's like taking a pill that makes me almost a 10 happy, joyful, grateful, present, more focused, just a better person who enjoys the path of life more. It's amazing to me. If I don't do meditation, there's really a pretty noticeable difference in how I feel.
Energy levels? Not
necessarily energy levels. I just I don't know how else to describe it other than like I'm if you ask me on a 1 to 10, where are you at joy level? It's usually between a 9 and a 10 if I'm doing my meditation.
Okay.
If I'm not, you know what I do? I get caught up in worry. I get caught up in thinking that's problematic.
Because we all, if you have an anxiety style personality, sometimes which we think about the future too much, because that's anxiety.
Yep.
And if you're in the past, that's depression.
Yep.
So they try and get you as much in the present as possible. So therefore, you're in ideally as close to a Zen as you can. So
that's the goal.
And it's hard. It's hard because our brains are wired to be like, oh gosh, if I do this, if I do that, like what's going to happen? And you start thinking too much.
So I'm really into conscious breathing, diaphragmatic, just very regulated in and out breathing. I usually breathe through my nose. Even when I'm doing things like this, or I'm in a big presentation or business meeting, or you could be on a date or whatever. It's that breathing that really brings me back to my center, or kind of an anchor, so to speak. And it keeps me really present.
Yeah.
And that's a nice place to be. It's a really happy way to experience life.
Are there triggers that made you want to do that? Were there points in your life at a younger age, because you're in your mid 40s now, similar to me, that said, hey, like I need to make some adjustments? Or was there a turning point where you're like, hey, I need to get my shit together and I can't be at, this kind of anxiety driven, mode all the time?
I was a zombie, this going back to college and the big Mercedes S-Class, the drive there was, or I should say, I started doing like remember long distance service? You could sell like long distance service to like, hey, Justin, sign up for this program.
I think there were like MLM companies for that, like Excel and all kinds of other ones.
I think I was working with Excel for some point. It was like selling knives or something. Right. There's all these different things you can do, or vitamins. That's what I was doing when I was in college at like 18, 19. Because it was that lust for financial independence. And like I can
make something happen. Yeah.
And passive income. I wanted to have money come in and be able to go have fun in life. So that brought me to graduating and going into Marcus & Millichap, which is a national firm, commercial real estate, great company, amazing training platform. A lot of gratitude towards that foundation of where I was for 9 years, since from 02 to 10.
Okay.
So going to work, Justin, and you can probably relate to this. It was like putting yourself into a pressure cooker every morning,
especially in that environment.
Super competitive. I'm trying to outbeat you and out earn you and make more phone calls. A lot of it was cold call driven.
Dialing for dollars, baby.
Yeah, exactly. And it was charged, and it was so uncomfortable.
It's like a boiler room, man.
It was so uncomfortable, and it made us a ton of money because we're in our like early mid 20s pulling like big numbers, 300-500 grand.
Yeah.
And that was in like the early 2000s. And we're like going, shit, this is amazing.
Especially if you're in your 20s. That's a lot of money to a 20-year-old with limited liabilities.
Correct. But the experience for somebody who's always dealt with a sense of anxiety, and you could even say, I'll even go out and I'm very real, like insecurity. I'm not good enough. It was, the experience gave me a lot of stress, and I was feeling it. I mean, I went to the ER, I think twice, because I thought I was having a heart attack.
Oh shit.
Like, because I literally had this chest pain from 10 escrows and all this first appointments. And it was just doing so much,
right, to try and be so much.
to earn, to get, it was called NAA. So you could go to Hawaii, and it was like 750K.
Yeah.
So we're pulling this big
In commissions.
in commissions.
Yeah.
And we're getting half of that. So, you know, you're netting like 400 grand, which is
Yeah.
a lot
Yep.
when you're 25 years old.
Big time.
It's a lot now too. So that in 09, I said, this is insane. I was dating a woman from Europe, and I was finding myself going to happy hour and like waiting to have those drinks.
Mm.
And I'm like, dude, this is gnarly. Like, it was just super up and
Because
down.
that was your kind of your calmer, your downer.
That was
Yeah.
a downer to like help slow down those
Oh.
thoughts.
Yeah. No, I can.
The alcohol,
I can. I'm like feeling your pain.
right?
Yeah. What month are you born?
August, the end of
Okay.
August.
So my brother's August 25th. What are you?
Yeah, 22nd.
22nd. Okay.
I'm right on the verge of right before Virgo.
Yeah.
Leo.
Okay.
But it was a you know, there was a hypnosis or meditation. I got curious about it. Remember we had Yahoo Yellow. It was like Yellow Pages online.
Yeah.
It was Yahoo
Yeah.
Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
And I typed in meditation, and I met this woman. Long story short, I left 3 messages with like meditation or people, hypnosis people, to try something different. This is the end of 09. I met this woman named Shakti in Mission Hills. She had a little office. Long story short, ended up working with her. She introduced me to a guy named Don DePani, who's become this very well-known spiritual teacher who just wrote this amazing book on focus. The Power of Unwavering Focus, I think it's called. It's amazing. He's building this really neat place down in Costa Rica right now. So Don DePani is who taught me how to meditate in India. This was in 2010. And I went back 4 more times with different trips and different retreats with him over the next like 5-6 years. So
Wow.
I think until 2016.
To India.
To India.
Where in India?
4 times in the south, like Tamil Nadu area,
Like,
Chennai, all
is
the
it
way,
Chennai.
all
Yeah.
the way down through like the backwaters of like Kochi
Yeah.
and Kerala and Tiger Country.
Isn't it
We
one
went
of
on
the
like,
most interesting countries in the world? So I've been there only once,
yeah,
but we went into Chennai, and then we went to Agra and New Delhi.
yeah,
And I tell people this who ask me about India.
yeah,
They're like, what was it like? I said, it is one of the most unbelievable countries I've ever been to. But imagine this for a minute. A country about half the size of the United States with 1.4 billion people.
yep,
The United States has 350 million.
yep,
Okay. That is the upper class in India.
yep.
So if you were to take all the rich people and stick them in, I mean, that is the entire United States of America. And that's
Yeah.
just the upper class in India. The whole concept of personal space
yeah,
does not exist.
yeah,
I mean, I call it pizza space, right? Just give me a pizza around me.
yeah,
It doesn't exist.
yeah,
I mean, I thought I was going to die 50 times in a rickshaw
right?
going through all the cities. I mean, but these guys do it like, they're just walking down the street.
It changes who you are, though. Isn't it
whew.
amazing for the soul and for perspective or gratitude?
Did they teach you about the no-namers when you were there? Because the caste system,
Yeah.
right?
How about
So
the
they have like
Mariners?
the 7 layers of caste. I don't know how many layers there are in there in the caste system.
Don't
But then they
recall.
have one that they don't even put on there. It's called the no-namers.
Huh.
And I was like, what is this? And they said, well, you'll know them when you're walking down the street. They kind of borderline look zombie-ish a little bit. And they're even below cows, because cows are like gods there,
Whoa,
right? 'Cause
interesting.
The cows are like the gods there.
Yeah.
And like you'll see, I don't know if you saw this, but in some of the cities, like people laying on the side of the road and they're technically dead
There's people with leprosy that we saw. Yeah.
all
missing
over the
limbs.
place. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
But they have the no-namers, and if a no-namer's walking down the street and they're on the sidewalk with you, they have to get off the sidewalk.
Oh, wow.
And they're almost like, I'm not kidding, they almost look zombie-ish.
Gnarly.
And they're just no-naming around. It's wild. It's
Just-
like the lowest. It makes a homeless person in the United States look like
yeah.
they're at the Ritz-Carlton.
Wow. I
It's
never
the craziest thing I've
I
ever seen. in
never
my-
associated the name with the people, but I saw people like that. So that's
Yeah,
Did you-
if anybody wants to be beyond grateful and thankful
yeah.
for where you're at, especially being born in this country, the United States, go to India.
Very difficult place to travel through. I mean, it's Did you go up to Varanasi at all?
We did, no, we did Chennai, Agra, and New Delhi.
Got it.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, where a lot of the Hindu people go to die. They
Wow.
actually go to this city. And I'll never forget giving money to a panhandler, like a woman on the side of the street. She was panhandling for money for firewood for her own cremation.
What?
And we're like, oh my God, because she was really, really old. She was like gonna die. So she was planning on dying and raising money for her own firewood, which I blew
That's
my mind.
wild. It's kind of like my dad setting up like his burial site, you know,
Right?
It's wild.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's
So that got you into meditation,
Yeah.
and that's helped you kind of. So that's up until 2002, 2010. You're doing this Marcus Millichap deal. You're hunting, aggressive, and then you launch out and start Acre
commercial. Two competitors, friend competitors at that firm at Marcus. We came together and we started Acre. Our office was down the street over here, actually, Camino del Rio South. We did that they're still running Acre. I sold out of Acre about a year ago, and started my new really, really fun concept. It's called Mango Tree Real Estate. And I'm really big into having fun. We talked about that a little bit.
What's fun for you?
Fun is freedom of time.
Okay.
Fun is connection. I really enjoy helping others.
Okay.
And that could be you could be like, hey, where should I go I need some new shirts. And I love pointing people towards things I've come to learn in life.
Concept of fulfillment.
Yeah.
Right. Because when you actually see how your help impacts them.
Yep.
It's a sense of fulfillment. Like it makes you feel like, oh, like this was cool. Like I feel good.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome when you do that. Then you start to realize how important it is just for us as human beings to connect and help others and give back to others. Because if you're just take, you feel pretty empty.
Yeah. And that's what I did for a long time. I mean, during my 20s and 30s, it was just, again, I'm being a little bit hard on myself, but it was kind of more selfish. Like, how do I get ahead, and how do I buy more apartment doors, and how do I create more passive income? I mean, that's the driver of a lot of this, is like, I want as much cash flow per month as possible to fund
your fun,
the fun.
I call fun the fun.
And now it's getting to a point where I'm starting to give back and help support other causes, Boys to Men, animal shelter.
So you with Joe and those guys at Boys to Men, you help out with that.
Joe's
incredible organization.
Yeah, we got the 100 Wave Challenge coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we just did so the Peers Network. I'll give you a hat. So I'm the president of Peers.
Okay, nice.
Do you know the history of Peers? Okay, so it was started in 2009 by some local heavy hitter entrepreneurs here in San Diego with the concept of, hey, we've already kind of made it. We're not like a business networking group.
Yeah.
But we're going to come together and connect it through philanthropy. So what they did is they started Peers, and it's like philanthropy, and there's acronyms for it. And Boys to Men was our latest big deal. Because they do a big golf tournament.
The Caddy Hack.
The Caddy Hack. So 2 years ago, we helped co-sponsor that with them.
Nice.
And we doubled their revenue by coming in to kind of really help grow them. Incredible organization. Joe's awesome. So
aren't they amazing?
Yeah. Incredible guy.
Mango Tree sponsored the putting hole at the last one a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
What was that, a month ago?
So much fun.
That was amazing.
Playing guitars and like
Elton,
27 holes of music. I mean,
Elton Joe.
These guys are off the chart. I'm like, you guys have lost your cuckoos.
And I've seen how that foundation's formed and how they operate.
Yeah.
That money is going straight to help the kids.
Yeah.
Middle school.
So people don't know kids. Boys to Men. It's a local organization here in San Diego that helps focus on kind of the lost age group of boys in the middle school range.
High school.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of help at the younger age. And then you kind of have this gap where boys can get lost.
Oh, yeah.
And before they go into the high school and kind of get men, it's Boys to Men. And they come in and wrap their arms around these young kids that maybe didn't have a role model, no father figures, no guidance. And they're kind of just left there, dangling. And that's where they can lose it. They go off the rails.
Yeah.
And so they come in and wrap their arms around them and give them this hope, belief, support, guidance, and help them get through that gap period.
It's
because
amazing.
that's missing massive.
It's amazing.
Right?
And a lot of times we just listen. We're just there literally to like listen and ask some questions about what's going on in their worlds. It's amazing. It helps a lot.
Have you gone on the retreat they have?
Yeah.
Yeah, out in the mountain or whatever it is.
The mountain, the one out in the ranch.
What's been, if you can think of
Adventure Mountain Weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can think of one of the conversations you had with one of the boys that impacted you the most, can you mention that with that organization?
Oh man.
Can you remember it?
There was a kid I really like who comes in and we're doing a circle. There's probably 5, 6 kids and a couple mentors. And we go, hey, what's going on? And he goes, I shit my pants at school. And I go, that sucks. But you know what? Like sometimes that just happens. We humanize it. We normalize it.
That's
we
amazing.
just normalized it.
Yeah.
And he was really,
so there's no judgment on it.
He was upset about it. And I go, well, that's not fun at all. I mean, nobody wants to do that.
I should tell, if I were in that circle, I'd tell him about the time that I shit my pants when I was an adult.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when I was tackled by the police.
So we're not, there you go. So it's like, who am I? Like we don't, that never happens to anybody else. So
yeah,
we humanize and we normalize the experience and sometimes these not so fun things.
Yeah.
So that was really touching to me to kind of try to make some normalcy out of it.
Do you have kids? Married? Not married? No kids?
No, I'm kind of more of the bachelor.
Bachelor in paradise.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Walk me through that a little bit. Is that by choice, by just the way life's gone? Is there any aspirations for any of that?
Yeah.
What's the personal life look like now?
Yeah, I love that. So traveling's real big for me.
Okay.
So I'm going to Japan in a couple of weeks. And I think on this journey of figuring out who I am, what am I doing, what's my purpose, there's been a lot of involvement and growth. And it's kept me kind of moving. And it's made it difficult for me to stay in a relationship because I really didn't know who I was yet, or I was still kind of getting comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
To be very real about it.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm this moving thing. And until I'm really solid, it's like it's hard to bring in someone else.
Do you feel like you're solid now?
Yeah,
Are you getting
I feel
there?
like I'm finally gotten to a point where we're towards the end of 24. And I think this year, after I put down a dog in January, which was really heavy.
What kind of dog?
A little boxer mix. And that was like a 15-year relationship. He was kind of like
your girlfriend,
like the partner.
Yeah.
Well, I should say the steady partner, because there's been amazing people in my life, but this was a steady thing for almost 15 years. That went away. So I think this year, the last like 6, 7, 8 months, I've really, really feel ready.
Okay.
And that's an exciting feeling. And I'm dating more intentionally now. And we could get into that.
As you should.
But I probably haven't been ready.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Listen, and it happens at different seasons for different people at different ages. Everybody that wants to follow an X path. Oh, you're in your 20s and you should do this. And you're in your 30s and you should absolutely do this. And by this, you should have kids. And you know, there's that traditional path that everybody wants you on. Any aspirations for kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I see that happening at least with
here's the good news.
One child.
Yeah. You're, and if you can, this would be my recommendation if you want that. 2 children. So I thought I only wanted one child. And when we had Brody, our son, I thought, okay, like I'm done, I'm good. Like, and then my wife at the time, I'm thankful for her that she said, no, like it's really important that they have a sibling. It's really important that they can play together. It's really important they can go through life together. And at first I was like, oh God, like it's so much. This says I'm trying to drive and do these things professionally, and this is a lot. But I'm blessed and I'm thankful that within 24 months, they're 2 years apart. You know, we had a girl, Everly. And now I look at it because they're 8 and 10. And I'm like, wow. Like I'm thankful that happened because siblings, they fight, but they also go through life together. They love each other like anything you can imagine. They're close enough in age to where they can enjoy each other. far enough apart to where they still have their own independence.
Yeah.
But that would be my recommendation. But you're perfect. I mean, I wouldn't say perfect timing, but as a man, right? It's different if you're a woman, but as a man in your early mid 40s, you know, you can rock and roll technically still. Yeah. And by the time you're, call it 50, right? You could be in that space, depending on if that's what you want to do. Yeah. And you'll, you know, people ask me, what is being a parent like? I tell them, well, listen, it's being a father or a parent. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do that you absolutely love to do.
Love that. Yeah.
It is exhausting. It's hard. Sometimes you want to beat the living, but of course you don't, but you love them beyond anything you can explain, even though, you know, you have a dog and a pet, there's unconditional love there. Yeah. There's another level with a child to the point where you would never even hesitate. Like I would die like instantaneously. If there was a bullet, boom, take it. It's not even like a thought.
Yeah. No, amazing. Wow. Yeah. And that's such a ideal symbol of purpose.
And it's one of them.
And fulfill. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I told you, I just 2 years running now, but I go down to this conference called The Vault every year down in Florida. And it's run by Patrick Bet-David, who's a pretty well-known figure now. And last year I went there and it was a pretty emotional experience because I did not expect it. But the first day you get there, you have your pamphlet and your book, and he puts up on the board these 7 mountains. And he says, these are the 7 mountains that inspire people and move nations. And he says, your job over the next 24 hours as we go through this is you're going to identify 3 or 4 of these that are most, you know, drivers for you. And it has nothing to do with money. So the 7 are this: business, media, education, sports and entertainment, religion, government, and I missed one. Family, but not like necessarily your personal family, but also philanthropy, giving back, because that's kind of the family purpose, right? So those are the 7. You know, so reminding you of those again, and maybe you can pick.
And these are universal that you pick 3 or 4.
Correct, because these are the 7 mountains that inspire people and move nations. And the reason he brought this up is he said, "Listen, everybody, I just sold my insurance company within a year ago. I made $250 million. Yeah, I don't need to get up in the morning anymore. Money is not. Yeah, and now he's worth a $500 million, right? He's worth $500 million bucks. Okay, wow." And he's going to be a billionaire, no problem, within the next few years, no doubt. He'll be one of the most influential figures in the United States, no doubt. But he says, I needed something to move me every day because money was not it. Yeah. But he says, in my belly, these are the 7, let me give you mine. Yeah. And he says, business, because I need a successful business which helps feed these other ones I'm going to tell you. Yeah. So business number 1, media, getting out there, whether it's podcasting, whether it's whatever, a media company that he created, right? Valuetainment. And then from there, he says, I'm passionate about government. Politics is for me. It says, I'm Armenian and I can't be the president of the United States. But he says, through media and through other things, I can help influence. And he says, I love talking about it. And he says, you know, for anybody in the United States of America that wants to talk poor about this country, I dare you to get up and go to Iran. Because he says, that's where I was born and grew up. And then Armenia, all that's there. He says, you have no effing idea how good you got it. Yeah. Okay. So just respect. I mean, there's a lot of problems, but it ain't nothing like that. Okay. So he has such a passion for what this country's given him.
And gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
And because of that, he says, now you got the government. And then he says, now I have the family. So for him, it's business, media, government, family. And he says, those are what get me in the belly every day, get me excited. How can I do things, make things, create, you know, influence in companies, and like, how can I make this happen?
Get excited, right?
Get excited. Yeah. Get excited because that has nothing to do with money, and money's just a byproduct of it. Yeah. But he's going out there talking about it every day and getting on podcasts, creating the media company, creating all these things, and the things he's doing. I just came back from that conference last week. The things that are coming, People, it's you will know that guy's last name.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly is like a household name within 5 years or less.
Yeah. Soon. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's on a hockey stick.
So what's getting you? What's really fresh for you now, or alive for you?
So I had to do this identity audit, is what he calls it. So he says, here's your homework tonight. Everybody here is going to go back. And I said, when you get out of this conference today, don't go back to the bars. Don't go getting all crazy tonight. He says, you're here. You paid a lot of money. Take the next couple of days and let's do this. So he says, tonight you're going to go back to your room, sit for a couple hours with yourself, and you're going to walk through this process. And you're going to have this identity audit. And here's the questions you're going to ask yourself. These are the things you're going to go through. And then by doing that, you're going to be able to answer your 7 mountains. And so I did it. Very emotional. I was like, holy shit, I did not see this coming. And going through it, you have a very honest conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Almost like standing in front of the mirror and being very self-aware, self-reliant, going, holy shit.
Honest.
I'm either not leveling up, I'm underachieving, like things you start having these moments about. So for me, it's business. I have to have a successful business because that helps feed the other passions. Other one is media. Hence the Abundance to Give podcast. We created the media company, A to G Medias. So now the media company's out there. And then that helps feed the education. So we created an education company called Multifamily Schooled. That helps the fulfillment because now I'm helping educate other people that want to be multifamily entrepreneurs and learn this and go do it for themselves, get the financial freedom, get the all the stuff you're talking about. So the education company is very passionate for me because it helps fulfill things. And then we've created a community within that education company that now we can do deals together. Maybe we can collaborate, we can partner, syndicate, all these things happen. And if you have a vibrant community that's kind of like doing these things together, awesome. Because now everybody's growing. They're getting wealthy. They're doing what they need to do. We're growing our portfolio. We're doing partnerships. Like, I love that.
There's so much juice there. It's synergy. It's like 1 + 1 = 3.
Because everybody's winning.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like, oh, I just want your money to teach you. No. You come into the community. We're going to collaborate. Let's make things happen. Let's get you to where you want to go. We can grow where we want to go.
And that builds other things and opens new doors.
Collaboration, partnerships. Everybody's winning.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting where they want to go. They're achieving their dreams. We're achieving ours. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the education side. And then last is the family, right? Not only my personal family, but then philanthropy, giving back, helping others, leaving a legacy. So that way my name, Brennan, is associated with Guy. You know, that guy helped a lot of people.
Yeah. I love that.
Right.
Good for you.
So that's why, you know, I became the president of Peers this last year, was nominated in by the group to do that. Because for me, hence the Abundance to Give podcast. It's not just a podcast about, hey, tell me about how your tactics and how you did Acre. And then you created, you know, mango tree.
There's depth to it. Yeah. It's not just,
there's a lot of purpose behind it.
Yeah.
With the ultimate focus on how can we impact as many lives as we can positively. So that way a legacy is left that, like, okay, you know, this guy just didn't take.
Yeah. You have impact.
Yeah. Good, so that's like my 4. So,
well, you're inspiring me this morning.
So
I want to listen to the 7 too. I need a reminder of those.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean,
if you can just think off the cuff. So going back to it, business, family, education, government, media, sports and entertainment, and did I say family already?
Yeah. Which ones are more?
Yeah, for you.
The ones I feel like would give me the most depth and fulfillment would be family and the media and education. Both of those kind of combined, but I love helping, coaching, pointing people towards a new perspective, or this is some suggestions on how to go about things. I love teaching.
Have you coached people about what you do? Because just so everybody knows, I mean, Chris has been extremely successful in the multifamily apartments, commercial real estate space, period.
Yeah.
Made a lot of money, been very successful and still very successful in that industry. What would you, maybe a little piece of advice for a young entrepreneur trying to grow in that space, either as a broker or as an investor? Would you recommend if they're in San Diego or in California, to continue to invest here, or do you need to spread your dollar further and go out of state?
Well, I want to touch real quick on the coaching thing, because I did do some coaching. This is like two years ago. I started a program. It's called Brass Tacks.
Ah,
it was really into
like a mentorship program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really neat, and it was kind of a little bit more entrepreneurial. It really could apply to any business, but it was how to distinguish yourself and show up with the right mindset and some awareness, and things don't have to be perfect. I really tried to kind of go deep with like how entrepreneurs come to the table and make progress in this world, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's selling flowers or real estate.
Yeah.
So that was neat. I put a lot of like pressure on myself. That's just one of the things I do. And I was really
high achievers do that, Chris. That's
really
not
like,
unique. I mean, it's unique, but it's not unique. I mean, that's just what being a high achiever does. I mean, you constantly feel
like I'm
in a way not worthy.
Yeah. And it's almost like I'm like the Ferrari engine. I want to be at like 7,000 RPMs the whole time. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a second.
That's why you need to meditate and you need to go to Bali.
Exactly. Which is so there was a guy when I was a kid, when I was like 22 or 23 on the phones, cold calling. He goes, "Don't ever buy an apartment building further than your horse can take you in a day, because of being able to control the asset, show up for problems, understand the local quirks about whatever it may be." So I don't have a right answer for this. I've been real successful staying in San Diego. It's a more conservative way to do it. I think if you can refinance from time to time and pull equity out, that's a way to kind of get back some reward for this very
every 5 to 7 year type thing. Yeah, you can
to kind of compensate for very low returns here. You're making 2, 3, 4, 5% or whatever
on the cash on cash. You're saying
return on equity, cash on cash. I like the out of state stuff. I think if you really understand that sub market, and you have trustworthy people from a management standpoint, I've just heard a lot of people that have gotten ripped off from managers just they're not present. They don't have any boots on the ground. So I think if you have the right approach, you can still do well out of area.
Yeah.
I just was taught that San Diego is just a really fundamentally strong place. And that's the only place I've been investing in.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I mean, kind of born and raised here and growing up. You know Rudy Medina?
Yeah.
Okay. Marcus Millichap guy.
Yeah,
originally.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, before my time.
Yeah. Like do you know his history with Grant Cardone? You know Grant Cardone?
Yeah, I used to cold call Grant. Seriously.
So this is the crazy story about Grant. Property. So he, started in Louisiana, born and raised, did some investing in Houston, some initial houses and stuff. Moved to San Diego. He's doing obviously car sales coaching and dealership coaching and all of that.
He bought that piece of real estate right on Windansea too.
Correct.
Built those
so
condos.
He lived right across the street.
Yeah.
He was on Camino de la Costa renting a house.
Yeah.
And this was in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Walked across the street one day, ran into a broker. Her name's Anna Marie Bernard, who I think you may know as well here in San Diego.
That rings a bell.
She was getting ready to list the house, waterfront on Windansea.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, this may be a good piece." So they ended up buying it with some partners in him, flipped it, bought it for 4.2, sold it for 9 and change.
Wow.
Okay. And he explains, like, this was my first big single check.
Yeah.
Like millions check.
Yeah.
And then he started, okay, what do I do with that now? And so he met a couple people, one of them which was Rudy Medina. And with Rudy Medina, they had partnered on Grant Cardone's first 2 multifamily deals here in San Diego. One of them was in Point Loma, a 30 unit. The other one was in Vista, a 48 unit. And those were Grant Cardone's first 2 multifamily deals he ever did.
Wow.
And then from there, obviously they sold out of them, made a bunch of money. Grant ended up buying stuff in Tucson, Arizona for a while. And then obviously Grant's become freaking great.
Yeah.
So it's a small world.
Yeah,
but that's how it started right here in San Diego.
Yeah. So. And now, 48 unit asset would cost
$90 million.
Right?
I mean, it's $400,000 a door.
$20 million bucks or something or whatever. Yeah. It's gotten so expensive. But so I don't have it's the barrier of entry is really hard now just to get into the business.
Because of the cost.
I mean, $1 million what do you, I mean, shoot.
I mean, yeah, because things are probably trading here now between 400,000 to 600,000 a door. Maybe mid threes.
Call it 300 a door for
Yeah.
7 units. That's a $2 million deal. And
Yeah.
you're going to need 40% down. So that's $800K.
Yeah. And then
So
the
what-
returns are shit, at least for an initial guy going in. So that's actually how we ended up going out of state,
Yeah.
because we did pretty well for just little duplexes and triplexes and quads and stuff that we kind of built with our own money here.
Yeah.
But then we said, hey, we want to grow, but our dollar's not going very far.
Yeah.
And we want to get into bigger stuff. So that did require Midwest out of the kind of coastal markets
Yeah.
and into, say, a Texas or a Missouri and kind of middle part of the country where you can buy things for 50,000 a unit.
And the returns have been consistent. Good.
Correct. Now, as you know, we're in a bit of a shit show at the moment, right? And San Diego's isolated. I say, and this is kind of where the benefits of San Diego come in, because when we don't have these crazy trends per se,
Yeah.
right now at least, because San Diego's super protected because of the diverse economy, and there's just some really cool dynamics here that are protecting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of California right now, if you get into anywhere from Arizona to Nevada and then outside of the coastal zones of the East Coast,
Interesting.
this country is in deep shit.
Wow.
It is a nasty ball game right now.
Even for multifamily, just right. Yeah.
Because of what happened. I mean,
Yeah.
you can imagine this for a minute. From 2019 to 2022, the amount of deals and value add and renovation stuff and all that stuff that happened, right, on variable rate debt at 4% was off the chart,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, as we know, March 2022, here comes the Fed. And you have 11 interest rate hikes in 9 months. I mean, one of our deals literally that we saved in Texas had a 4.25% interest rate in March of 2022. We're right in the middle of our business plan of renovations and everything's moving along. It's awesome. And then I see rates start going like this, and it's eating through our interest reserve because now we need to get to the finish line so we can refinance into fixed rate.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there going, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So we raced to the finish line. I ended up moving out to that asset, right, for a period of time to run the renovations and run with the crew on site to get us finished, leased up,
Good for you.
operating. So that way we could bring in fixed rate debt with agency and take out the construction reno stuff. And I mean, we threaded the finish line, like literally 7 days before the 10-year treasury went through the roof.
Yeah.
And we got in at, 5.5% on fixed rate debt. But point I'm trying to make with this is we are one of the very lucky ones.
Yeah.
Because there are syndicators all over the country right now. And I'm talking billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars in bad debt
Yeah. Jeez.
that were done by these debt funds
Yeah.
on variable rate that now are at 9%, right? 8%. And they've been that way since 2022 because the rates have done nothing but go up.
They can't refinance.
They can't refinance. So they're either going one of three options. Keys are just going back, right? So they're handing the properties back to the banks, which is happening. Doing cash in, cash call refinances, cash in to save the assets, which we had to do on ours. Had to bring in $2 million.
Yeah.
We saved it, thankfully, and it's where we're at the moment. But there's people that are having to do it again, and it's just they're bleeding and they're bleeding and they're bleeding and they're bleeding and they're bleeding. And so we have very quietly right now a 2008 on steroids right now, quietly, because it's not being broadcast on CNBC. The banks are keeping it close and tight. They're trying to work with, the operators and the syndicators, kicking the can down the road, giving some extra time, working with the situations, trying to wait for interest rates to come down to refi. Like all these things are dynamically happening. Maybe doing some modifications, barely. I mean, it's a nasty game right now that is on the teeter point. Where I can tell you this, if the banks that did this, and it's probably a dozen or half dozen of these debt funds that did a lot of the variable rate financing. If they just said, nope, we're going to not work with anybody and you guys are underperforming, and you would see an implosion beyond anything you've ever seen. I mean, I'm talking probably just under $1 trillion in bad debt.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're talking more multifamily. We're not even talking about office or
yeah, that's a whole other ball game.
office or
Yeah, I mean, you watch the website cred.iq, cred.iq. Okay.
Yeah.
You can look at the delinquencies going on right now, mainly in office and multifamily.
Yeah.
And it's starting to go berserk.
Even my experience from a landlord in America's finest city, San Diego.
Yep.
It's a lot harder to turn units now. I'm getting less activity, a poor quality of applicant.
Interesting.
With regards to credit or just money.
Even in San Diego.
This is in San Diego.
Okay.
In fairly good submarkets.
Yeah. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it. I mean, there's a combination of market dynamics that you're talking about where people are just stretched. Everybody's stretched because costs have gone up, costs of living have gone up, their income's flattened, right? So that squeeze on the family income is tight.
Yeah.
And any blimp in that, and they have problems.
People are doing roommates or whatever.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And I see that going on even in our other markets of Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas is getting clobbered right now. But like I say,
how's Arizona doing?
Clobbered.
Yeah.
But it's temporary, meaning if you can hold on to the asset, right? Hold on and fight through it and get to the other side. Because people are saying like, oh, it's not going to come back. I said, listen, you telling me that's like telling me it's your first rodeo.
Yeah.
I say anybody that's been through a crisis, you go back to 2008, right? If anybody came to me and said, oh, I've lost 60% in the value of my house, it's never coming back. I'm just going to give it back to the bank. You telling me that is like what we see now, right? Because here you are, granted, years later, but now you're 60% higher than where you were at before. So it's not a matter of if, it's just simply a matter of when.
The key word is tenacity.
Yeah.
Just hang with it.
Fight, and
that's
don't ever give up.
That's been real estate for the last 100 years. There's nothing new there.
Just fight.
Yeah.
Just keep fighting and don't ever give up. If you can hold on to that asset and fight through the tough times, you'll get there.
Well, without getting into the weeds on your model, because we don't need to discuss that or my model specifically, but I commend you. Kudos to you for moving back to that asset in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having boots on the ground and getting your hands dirty, so to speak. I think that shows me you're just a committed leader.
Yeah.
So I think that's
it was wild. I mean,
and you didn't pay me to say that. I'm just I wanted to share.
I did. No. Yeah. I just my mentality is whatever it takes.
Yeah.
You know, I literally have a hat, WIT, whatever it takes.
Like
right.
That.
So
I like
when shit hits the fan, you do whatever it takes, because people think it's like going to be forever. I said, no, it's a window of time. Right? Like shit sucks right now. And it may be, I tell people right now, I said, if you can hold on to your stuff until first quarter of 2026, because I said all the data that I'm seeing, because the reason we're in this problem is you've had obviously interest rates through the roof, but now you've had all this new supply that's hit the market, right? Not so much in San Diego, but other markets because of all the construction that happened coming out of COVID and so forth. So now there's a massive supply issue, not as much demand.
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine what's happening in the marketplaces for rents and vacancy and blah, blah, blah. But I said, permits have stopped due to construction costs, interest rates, it's stopped. So everything that's under construction or done, that's it. So I said, what's going to happen in 2026? Rents are going to do this because now your supply is like zero. Because now they're going to be like, oh shit, we have another housing problem. So what do you think is going to happen? And it's coming back, and they can't turn units fast enough. So you watch. By 2026, you're going to see cap rates compress again.
Interesting.
You're going to see rents jack up again.
Yeah.
I mean, unless we have some massive catastrophe that I can't plan for.
Yeah. So 26, so it's a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, you basically got 18 months to get to the other side of this show that's going on.
Yeah.
And you'll see that oversupply that's in the market now get sucked up.
Yeah.
So now you're going to have supply demand game, right?
Yeah.
Supply
I tend to
demand.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll get to a point where you'll see cap rates compress as interest rates start to adjust back down. We know, which is starting to happen. So you got to hold on to 2026. That's what I call it.
So Justin, every year I do a shirt release. I make a bunch of shirts. These really comfortable, stylish. They're like t-shirts. So the first one was next level. This was during 2020,
Okay.
COVID.
Oh, wow.
And Next Level was like, let's get out of COVID. And like,
That was the name of the shirt, Next Level.
The back, there's always a saying. It's like, it reminded me of the WIT, whatever it takes. Cause the first saying was Next Level, and it was the Apartment Geek, which was kind of the sponsor with it had like the logo, cartoon logo. And then it had, so it had my, Instagram hashtag. The first one was Next Level, level up in life and business, etc. The last one a year and a half ago was enjoy, lowercase ENJOY, which is like our the human's innate ability to feel joy. Like we have this wisdom to be happy and to prosper. And a lot of us think that we have to fight through it. This is a conversation for another day. The next one's going to be 100%, which is 100%. And that's what made me think of that.
So have you ever heard of,
because I say that a lot. I'm like, 100%, let's freaking go. You want to go to Bully's and have lunch? 100%.
I had a football coach that, and I still say it to this day because it clearly resonated with me. He said, everybody tells me, give me 110%. And he's like, that's not possible. But he says, what you can do is you can come here and give me 100.
Yeah.
And people are like, what's that? He says, you can give me 100% of your effort 100% of the time you're here.
Yeah.
So what he did with everybody on the football team is he took athletic tape, right? Piece of white athletic tape, wraps it around your wrist. He draws a circle on it. It's like a chain link. And then on the other one does 100. And he says, here's the deal. I don't ask that you give me 110%. I said, you can go do whatever the hell you want to do after practice in the games. But when you're between these lines, you give me 100.
Love it.
You give me 100% of your effort 100% of the time you're here. And that's all I ask.
Love it.
And he says, this chain link that's now on your arm, all of you guys here, you all have this. If one of you breaks, not physically, but mentally, I said, you break everybody. So he says, you hold that line as a chain link. You are strongest, right? The weakest man, that whole mentality. He says people are going to get hurt. Like physically things break, but mentally you don't.
Yeah. That's
and he says you hold that line as a mental chain and you as a team.
Yeah.
You guys will make stuff
I love
happen.
that.
Yeah.
That's a fun, playful way to apply things in life. Yeah.
So on the personal side, what are you looking for in, if you're looking for a spouse, a person you're going to share the rest of your life with here in your mid 40s and you're kind of looking for that? What's most important to you?
Wow, that's a big one. Again, one of the first questions was about fun. I want a playmate.
Yep.
So playmates, and it's going to sound really cheesy, but it's like, if I'm going to get married and do this monogamy thing, it's like, I want a best friend feeling partner.
Yeah.
So I think someone who's intelligent and brings to the table a certain backbone of whatever that may be. It's like a badass woman. I always use the word badass. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Badass, confident, secure. Those are two big ones: confidence and security. I think in a woman, and someone who's I'm a big nature guy, so I'm always, not always, but you'll see me in the city for 2 days and then I'll be in nature for 2-3 weeks or something. So I'm really into that, playing in nature, whether it's surfing or snowboarding or skiing or hiking.
Outdoors.
I love hot springs. I'm like super into like hot springs and stuff.
You should go do this then, since you're into the meditation, the hot springs and all that stuff. You've heard of a place called Two Bunch Palms?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
have you been there?
Yeah, I went there in 2018, and that's what was the old mobster?
This was like, so I learned
Al Capone's hangout, right?
Yeah, I learned about this place through friends. So this is where all like kind of secretly famous people go, to this Two Bunch Palms outside of Palm Springs and Desert,
which is why we go,
right? And they go there, and it's a very natural environment, but it's bougie, but it's not bougie.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I went there in the summer and it was like 100 and we were in the hot pools.
Okay.
But that's a really beautiful spot. I agree. And off record, I have a secret spot. I'll tell you about.
Yeah. Don't tell the cameras.
I can't tell the cameras because it's like, kind of secret.
So
a mix of like passion and romance and like, oh my gosh, this is like, I need to have attraction.
Yep.
I need that.
Sure.
Otherwise, I mean, I've got a new GT3 Porsche out front.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
like,
are you a Porsche guy?
Yeah. It's
Okay. I'll walk out with you. We need to take a look at this. I'm a huge Porsche guy. So
yeah. Okay, cool. You'll love this one. It's like, I like the way things look. So I want a partner. I like the way she looks. It is what it is.
Well, have you heard the saying? And I told this, my girlfriend knows this, but we laughed because she's in the content space, but I did a podcast with her and she asked me some question about men and women. And I said, this is not my quote, so don't get mad at me. And it goes something like this. Men fall in love with what they see. Women fall in love with what they hear. So this is why women will always wear makeup and men will always lie.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm like, do not get mad at me. It's not my quote, but this was something I heard. I was like, oh shit. Like you kind of irk at that at the first thought of it, but then you're like, God, it kind of makes sense. I mean, men, we do fall in love physically. Yeah. And through physical intimacy. Yeah. That's just what, by nature, that's how we are designed. Women fall in love emotionally. Yeah. Right. In the emotional intimacy. What would you say your core values are? Like if you could list 3 core values to you, what do you think they are?
In myself or a partner?
You.
Oh,
you
core
personally.
Values.
Like what do you value most in a person? Is it, I'll throw some thoughts out. Is it the idea of freedom? Is it the idea of integrity? Is it honesty? Is it reliability? Like what are some core values that say, listen, these are things that are very, very, very dear to me? Because that has to align with your partner.
Yeah.
You know?
So one big one is
how you see the world
is like drive or hunger for life.
Okay.
And that's broad, but it could just be a desire to experience, help.
So someone is into self-development, self-growth, and desire and passion and
beyond just I want to make money, blah, blah, blah. But there's some depth to that. Okay.
So we would put that in the self-development category of like that's an important core value that you need to be aspiring for self-growth in life.
The only constant is change.
I see that shit all the time.
So it's like I'm always going to change, and I do this, but I'm growing. I have down things for sure, but overall, like the tide, I'm trying to have that tide rise over time and evolve in a positive way, right? It's not always perfect. Yep. I need a partner who's going to be open and humble. I think a big one for me is humility.
Humility. Okay. That's a core value. So 100% is a core value.
I love when I meet someone, a romantic partner, and they own the things they aren't good at, or they admit fault, like shit, I messed up. I apologize, or I will work on this. I really try to do that because I fuck up all the time. Excuse my language.
Yeah. But so humility, self-awareness would be one there that being self-aware of, like you said, your faults, that you're not perfect. We are human. We do fuck up. And in being able to say, listen, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And then family connection, kind of inner circle, whether that's community,
meaning that they have a good family.
Yeah. Well, I'm speaking from myself. Okay. Like what's really important for me, it's that tight inner circle, and it's connection with from my brother to my parents, to my best friends, to the barista at the coffee shop, to the yoga, to the teacher at the yoga studio, whatever it may be. It's that connection, and that it's fostering energy and relationship and connection. That's a value. I think, is that a value? I don't know.
Well, it's a value, but I don't know the word you use, or whether you use the word connection or, it is a value. I just don't know. I don't know the word you'd put to it, but because usually you'd say, hey, I believe in, like one of mine is freedom. Like a core value of mine is freedom. Like I want freedom for all. I want freedom for you to believe what you want to believe, to do what you want to do with your body, to say what you want to say. I love that. And whether I agree with you or not is irrelevant. Whether it's relevant, you have that right as a human being to have freedom to whatever. Yeah. And so, I may not like what you're doing. Okay. Like that's me. You do what you want to do. It's not my right to stop you unless you're literally hurting someone. Yeah. But it's not my right to tell you, or change your thought or suppress or censor or any of this bullshit.
That's
It's
why I have
just-
a hard time with politics, because it's like fiscally a Republican, but then I'm like, well, wait a second. I want a woman to be able to do what she wants with her body and make the decisions.
I honestly mean this wholeheartedly, Chris. I think most of this country, if you were to actually sit down with them, if you were to take all 350 million people, you have your outliers, but that's the fringe.
Yeah.
They tend to have the loudest voices, unfortunately.
Yeah. Kind of the extreme.
Correct.
Left extreme.
But
right.
I would be willing to bet you that most of this country actually falls under libertarian.
Yeah.
Meaning they're fiscally, safety, security, probably more conservative.
Yep.
But when it comes to kind of some social things and belief systems, like, because somebody asked me the other day, well, do you believe in abortion? I said, okay, that's not the point. I said, I believe in freedom. So if that is a core value of mine, then that means whether I believe it or not is not how you should be directing society. Meaning a woman, even though I may not agree, doesn't matter. She has the right to do whatever she wants to do with her body.
Yeah.
Because that's freedom.
Yeah.
No different than if I don't want to take a shot in my arm. You may not like it. It's freedom. Yeah. Right? That's the whole point. If you're going to hold that core value, you hold it across the line. Yeah. Not just for things you like. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I may not agree this or that. It's not the point. The point is I believe in freedom. You do what you want to do as long as you're not physically, like literally killing and hurting somebody or society, right? Then fair enough. So
another big one for me is spirituality.
Yeah.
Because I think life is, I think we can do a lot of, we can have greater impact if we believe in something deeper and
faith. I mean,
selfishly, we can, I think, have a better life, and I think we can be better to those around us and inspire. So faith.
Do you think you've gone through different levels of, because I always say I grew up under Christianity, right? But I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
Not because I don't believe in religions. I believe they serve their purpose, but mainly because I feel like, at least intuitively for me, they're too constraining.
Yeah.
They're too confined.
Yeah.
They put you in a box. And then if you don't fit that box or believe that box, there's judgment upon you. Like, oh, you're going to hell. Like, I said, well, probably not. Because like we're living good moral lives. We're doing good by people. I just don't necessarily believe directly what the Bible says word for word.
Yeah.
So, but spirituality, 100% faith, like having a belief that, listen, there's probably something greater than ourselves that's running this whole show. You can't identify it. You may not know exactly what it all is,
but surrendering to that.
Yeah. Like there's no in the weeds about it. Listen, there's no doubt in my mind that there's something greater than ourselves. That's probably so far beyond our comprehension. We can't even begin to fathom its complexity.
I agree. And I think from a value standpoint, it's like, it's the mindset that goes with that. You could think God is the ocean or the forest or nature. Or
whatever God is to you.
The universe.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be the defined God by religions per se.
I think we're all God.
Maybe.
And how beautiful is that to show up where if we're all this representation of God, why don't we treat each other better too?
Yeah.
Justin, Chris, everybody, the person down the hall, everyone, the homeless guy at the corner of the light down the street. It's the same thing. Yeah.
And I sometimes, have conflicts with my mom because she's very hardcore Christian, right? And if you don't believe that box, you're gonna die.
Yeah. So I was an altar boy, trust me.
Yeah. So I say, Mom, listen, I totally appreciate how you feel. You're entitled to feel that way.
Yeah.
But look, how many religions are there in the world? She's like, a few hundred. I said, great. I said, they can't all be right, and they also can't all be wrong. So I said, what's more likely? That Christianity's exactly the way you define it. So therefore everybody else literally on this planet is going to hell.
Yeah.
Or that the way we define religion, spirituality, God, this higher power is probably something, Mom, so far beyond our comprehensions as human beings that we can't even begin to fathom its complexity. Yeah. So we've created religions to help us understand it. Help something that's not tangible feel tangible.
Yeah.
To maybe give us some guidance when we're like feel alone.
Yeah.
We've created these things, which is great. It's awesome.
It's like channels on a television.
Moral compass.
Yeah.
But I said, here's the beauty of it. We all get to find out. At some point, we're going there.
Yeah.
And the people who have passed on, they already know. And that's the greatest thing about it is we're all going to get to find out. And I think when we do, we're going to sit there going, whoa,
Right.
this is a lot better or even different than I was even fathoming.
Yeah.
Have you ever read that book? Do you know who Tyler Henry is?
That rings a bell.
So this recently happened to me because I was talking on a podcast about my sister's passing back in 2018, and how after that passing, I read a book called Between Two Worlds, which was written by Tyler Henry. He's the Hollywood medium guy.
That I've heard that.
Yeah. So he's the guy that's interviewed like all the famous people in the world and like had these readings and they're crying. Like, he's like big, well-known guy. Somehow we tag him in this post online on Instagram just recently. He sees it. And I guess he really liked it because he shared it on his Instagram. And he has several million followers. And it freaking blows up. And the point behind that is he talks about two realms. He doesn't even use heaven or hell per se. You can call it whatever you want. But he's had these experiences and he talks about it because he's in this world. And I believe him wholeheartedly. He talks about the realms. And he says, when we are here in this realm right now, we're here experiencing this and it's great. When we pass on, we're going to the next realm. And he says, it's a different scenario, but it's incredible because we're all interconnected, meaning that realm is right here. It's just a different realm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
love that.
We're all going to get to see it and experience it.
Love that.
And it's beautiful. So don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. And people who've passed on, they've gone through it and they're still here with you. Yeah. They're still here with you.
Yeah.
They're still here with you.
So I think for a partner romantically, that's important to me though.
Yeah.
Someone who's like
faith-based, spirituality,
open to something.
Yeah.
You know, like,
believes in something greater than themselves. Okay.
Yeah. Without, it doesn't have to be all specific.
Well, I love it, man. We could sit here for 14 hours.
Right. I know. We could talk about
but I know you got to go to lunch.
I'm going to invite you to something too that we host at my house up in Solana. I'll keep you posted on it. It's called The Aware Man.
Oh,
and
I like
it's an amazing men's group that's a catered dinner, like a very nice white tablecloth dinner. And there's question prompts to get guys to connect on real stuff. And there's two rules. Be on time. 3 rules. No technology, so no phones for airplane mode. And then no talk of business.
Okay.
There's no professional talk.
I like that.
Whatever else.
You'll see how many layers deep you get.
Oh, it's powerful. We did a dry run. It was good. We did the last one last month, 45 days ago. It was amazing. So we're going to do, I think October is going to be the next one next month.
Okay.
I'll keep you posted.
We'll have it be second half of October.
I'm going to be in Japan, so that works.
Okay, beautiful. I'll be in Hawaii. So there
we go. Have you been to Japan?
I have. I've been to Osaka and Kyoto.
Okay, very nice.
I've not been to Tokyo yet, but yeah, been to Osaka.
So you flew in? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I did Osaka and Kyoto.
Okay. Yeah, I'm flying into Tokyo, and then we're going to do the rail pass around the country. So,
well, that's exciting. Yeah, thank you for coming in. This was amazing. Where can everybody find you if they want to learn more about you?
The Apartment Geek on Instagram.
Okay.
The
Apartment Geek,
GEEK on Instagram. That's probably the best.
Yeah, and we'll put the tags on the YouTube and stuff for everybody to go in there. But
the new website's really neat. MangoTreeRealEstate.com. Okay. I designed that with the guy Todd last year. It's really cool.
MangoTreeRealEstate.com.
Yeah, simple. And then Chris at MangoTreeRealEstate.com is my email. Or people can call. I mean, I love talking and I love working with entrepreneurs or young people who want to create financial freedom and create passive income. I love it.
Yeah.
That's where that whole coaching.
Yeah. We probably align on that a lot and a lot of other things too, but yeah, we can probably talk more offline about that.
Yeah. Because it's nice to not have to go to the office unless you really want to.
Yeah. Right. And creating a community about that. That's how the education company came about.
So. Yeah. Well, thank you. Appreciate
it. All right, everybody, signing off. Take care. Chat soon.